What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, brought to you today by Jimmy's Seafood, only by the Russell Street Report. And we're going to be diving into the next part of our draft series, and that is talking about Baltimore Ravens kicker Tyler Loop out of the University of Arizona. Yes, I'm going to be attempting to break down kicker film. Now, before we jump too far into this, I'm going to make it very, very clear this is going to be more of a statistical analysis than a film breakdown. You guys have been following the channel for a while. I usually take a look at the technique, share my thoughts, what I've learned through my career doing this. With kickers, I'd be completely talking out of my ass. I don't know anything about kicking technique, so we're not really going to do that type of film breakdown. What I'm going to really show you guys is some of the key takeaways, what to know, what to expect, I think is more the key thing, kind of what the strengths, weaknesses, and with a kicker, the tendencies in terms of, when he misses, where is he missing, why is he missing, that sort of thing. Well, maybe not so much why, but where he's missing, so that you guys can watch for that as we go into the preseason and then obviously into the season. Justin Tucker has been released. It is going to be the Tyler Loop show. Biggest takeaway is that Loop, there it is a really fun moniker that the fan base can use. So that's really important to me. So before we jump into this, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here. And again, big thank you to Jimmy's for sponsoring this episode. And get ready for it. It's the famous Tailgoat Jimmy special featuring OAR. Yes, OAR returns home, the soundtrack for Jimmy's for the last 20 years on June 28th. You can see the address up there, 1300 Russell Street, Baltimore. You know the deal. So go over, check them out. It's going to be an awesome time at the Tailgoat, one of the best events for those that follow the Ravens. You guys already know the deal. Now, let's kind of take a look at Tyler Loop. If you go back to 2023, I focused on 23 and 24 because it really showed his progression as a kicker. If you go back to 23, very efficient. He only had 5 misses. And what's pretty consistent with his misses is they're usually in the plus 40 range, and we'll kind of see the differences between 23 and 24. A lot of his misses in 2024 were 50 plus kicks, so not really missing too many gimmies. So if you go back to last year, a lot of makes in the 30s, and some of that is obviously contingent on just where you're kicking from. The kicker doesn't always control that, but just a lot of makes in the 30s, not a whole lot of impressive kicks. He went 2 for 4 from over 50, making a 52 and a 51 yarder, missing 2 50-yarders. And then in the 40 to 49 range, he made 140 and missed a 42 and a 45. So last year, not looking overly impressive. But then when you get into this year, a lot of makes in the 40s, 43, 47, 47, 40, 47, 48, 46, and only missing 148 yarder. Then you look at the 50 plus, made a 53 yarder, made a 62 yarder, made a 52 yarder, 53 3 yarder, and a 54 yarder, and missed from 55, 56, and 52. So 3 of his 5 misses this year were from 52 plus. So not, necessarily gimmies. Obviously at the NFL level, those are the kicks. That's what separates the average, jag kickers from the top guys, but making that many over 50 is definitely impressive to me. So we're going to take a look at his lag power, because that is really the strength. If he had an archetype, a Madden archetype, for lack of a better word, he would be a power kicker. He has incredible lag power, and when he misses, he tends to pull the ball left pretty consistently. So I wouldn't say necessarily inaccurate, but he wasn't the most accurate. If you look at the draft, he was the second kicker taken after Miami's kicker, Andre Borregales. Probably saying it wrong. And there were only 2 kickers drafted. So I think the guy that didn't get drafted that everyone was expecting was Ryan Fitzgerald out of Florida State. He ended up landing with the Carolina Panthers. Maybe he got drafted late, but those are the 2 guys drafted in the 6th round. So Tyler Loop's second guy taken. And I think what's really interesting, you saw the video when he was drafted, the Ravens special teams coach was gushing over this kid. That's who he basically handpicked, Tyler Loop. And so, Ravens have a very good history with kickers, going from Matt Stover, obviously hit some bumps with Billy Cundiff in 2011, but even before 2011, he still had some big moments, was pretty consistent. 2011 was just God, that hurt. And then Justin Tucker comes in 2012 and has been here for the last 13 years. So between Stover and Tucker, kickers haven't really been an issue. This is the first time where, we're kind of back to that post Stover moment. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the team handles this. But I will say the Ravens have been really solid at filling in kickers. It's just interesting, right? Because we spent the last decade being like, when it's a field goal, you just kind of feel like it's going to be a make. And that's why the last couple years under Tucker, where we really saw his decline start, it was so hard for us to see because we just weren't used to it. Whereas other teams were used to some of the inconsistencies. So let's jump into some of the film. This is just YouTube film. I don't even know if I'd call it film. It's just kind of clips. Some of these are pulled from his highlights. We're going to start here with the 62-yarder against Houston. This is obviously, just for a context note, this is in Arizona Stadium. It is a retractable roof. I'm pretty sure the roof was closed, so it's basically kicking in a dome. It's just relevant, right? When Tucker hit his record setter 66 in Detroit, it was in a dome. It's easier to kick in a dome, less weather influence. But you're going to see it here. It's going to go up against Houston, and he just pounds the piss. You can see where it's caught. He had a couple yards there. So that's probably good from 64. So the leg power that this kid has is definitely extremely impressive. I don't really know a lot about this, and I don't want to try and blow smoke up you guys' asses because I seriously don't know a lot about kicking. Then you're going to get this one in that Houston game from 51. And, this is what's interesting about his 50-yarders is there's just so much room underneath it. Like he pounds that. This is a 53-yarder against TCU. They're down 7 at this point in the game, and you see where that's landing, right? Like that is cleared by a pretty significant margin, and it's noticeable in college because you don't see a lot of huge kicks in college. We're up 7 here against Utah, going from 53. So obviously we're seeing a lot of 50-yarders. Closer games, not necessarily blowouts or not getting blown out. I think that's really important as we kind of jump into this later portion where we'll look at some clutch time kicks. But even being up 7, or in this case up 7 in the third, this is the difference between a 1 and a 2 score game, right? So this is significant. And he's kicking this from 53, and this is watch where this lands. Like that. That's a 53-yarder. Let me go back here a second. And it lands in the top. You're going to see it up in the top left. You can see the ball right there going past the right upright. And then it's landing almost as high as where the wind flag is. So he has all that distance. Like that is how hard he kicks this ball. But you'll notice this ball is pulling left. He makes it, but it is pulling left, and we'll talk about that here when we talk about some of the misses. Because accuracy is definitely where he's going to have to work on. I will say from kind of a preference perspective, I think I would prefer, and you guys drop a comment down below if you think I'm out of my mind. Like I'd prefer someone to bring the power component and need to refine the accuracy. I feel like the accuracy is easier to teach than the power. I don't know. That's just me. That's kind of where my takeaway was on this. I think that's maybe where, Randy Brown really liked what he saw from this kid is like, okay, I don't have to worry about this kid kicking far. He's got NFL distance, right? It's about refining his technique, how he plants his foot, how he drives through the ball. That's those little things is where they can really work with him. Obviously, they have Sam Cook in the building, working with the punter. Sam Cook's held a lot of footballs in his days, knows a lot about kicking. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. We get a 47-yarder here against Texas Tech, and on these 40s, you can see what I mean. Look how that ball is well past the uprights, right where it is on your screen, and it's just clearing, right? So you can really see the difference on these 40-yarders. Here we're from 47 against Utah again. This was when it was tied 0-0, and you can just see what I mean. Look how high that ball is as it's coming through. It's hitting the net up near the wind directionals, and that's from 47. So that's got a good 10 to 15 yards underneath it. Here you're going to get a 52-yarder against Colorado. This was a game where they actually came back and he kicked field. We'll see it here in a second. Actually, he kicks a field goal to win the game at the end. But this is again another key moment. End of the first half, they're down 7. This is gonna put them within 4. And watch how he pounds this ball through. Like it is high in the air when it goes through the uprights. That's how much distance he has under that ball. When we get into the clutch time make, so this is really where I wanted to try and focus. This is where I think most of you would have a lot of your questions is, okay, that's great. He can pound the football, but can he make it when he counts? And the answer is it's inconsistent. I'm going to be completely honest with you. He's definitely had some clutch makes, and he's had some clutch time misses. And so we'll kind of look at the full bag over the last 2 years specifically. So this first moment, and I will say, before we get too far into it, playing at the University of Arizona, they've definitely turned out some really solid draftable guys, but they're not an overall competitive football program. They're not going to compete at a high level. Rarely in that kind of ranked territory, right? And so a lot of times, they're not in those tight games. They're even if you look through their kind of their results for the last 2 years, either they're getting blown out or they're blowing a team out. So it's hard for a kicker to kind of stand out versus being at some of the big Power 5 programs where they're in tight games consistently or they're in big moments specifically. Because I think we have one clip from a bowl game against Oklahoma from 2023. Other than that, he doesn't have like a championship game kicking moment, right? And we want to see that pedigree. You want to see that kind of clutch. So against New Mexico here, he makes 2 kicks. They're both when it's tied. So, I would still call that clutch time. It's 14-14 at this point. And they're going shot for shot. And this is where these kicks become big. This is where, the 3 points matter in the NFL at a big time. And this is from 54. So tie game, second quarter, 54 yarder, and he's going to drive that ball through. And again, it's going to land with a lot of leeway behind it. Then, later in this game, it's 24-24. And this is what I mean by that's why that other kick was so important, because they are going shot for shot. We're at the end of the second quarter here. So they've literally just been exchanging scores, and he's going to kick this one through from 46. And again, you can see how high that ball goes through. Absolutely absurd. The game that I just mentioned where he kicks the game winner against Colorado, this was his only game-winning make. And so, again, some of that is just situation. A kicker can't, make a game winner if the team doesn't put them in a position to do it. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make here is I don't think it's a lack of making it. It was a lack of exposure to those moments. And that type of uncertainty is definitely a risk that the Ravens are taking, because we don't know what this kid has in his veins, to be completely honest. He could have ice, could not have ice. We'll see. But, it's just a 24-yarder. But it's good to see him as time expires, pound the ball through the uprights. A 24-yarder, I'm not going to, get too excited about, but it's still a game winner is a game winner is a game winner. So you got to look at that. Then against Mississippi State here, big moment. Again, only from 36, so nothing too crazy. This is from 2023, but you can see 9 seconds left in the fourth quarter, fourth and two, down 24-21. So this is to tie, send it into overtime, and loop, no doubt, straight through. Nice high tight ball, really really consistent kick there. Very solid. I think they go on and win. Now here is the Alamo Bowl from 2023 against University of Oklahoma. I guess they did probably end up ranked at that point. Maybe that should have corrected what I said earlier. Anyway, nonetheless, again, fourth quarter, 12:53 left, but to tie it up again, these kicks, even if it's a 37-yarder, I still think these are really important. And he's got to make those, right? And there he is. He's going to pound that one through. So the clutch time misses, obviously, still a part of his story. This game against Texas Tech was a strange one. So Arizona starts out down 18-3. So as you can see now, it's 19-18. So they went on a big run, a 16-point run. He had a couple made field goals. I think he had makes from 30, 37, 40, and 47 in this game. He kicked like 5. Yeah, that's what it was. He kicked 5 times. He made those 4. And then he gets a chance here in the fourth quarter. And this is what I mean. It's a 1-point game. This makes it a 4-point game. So it takes away that field goal out of the equation. So I still think these kicks are important. So this is from 48. And you're going to see him step into it, and he's going to pull that left. And that's his miss, is when he pulls it to his left. So it's to our right because we're looking from behind the uprights, but he pulls it to his left. That's his miss. So that's a bad one. And then there's this one from 2023 against the University of Southern California. And I'm trying to remember the context completely. So it's a chance to go ahead here. There's 2:13 left in the fourth quarter, 28-28. So this is to basically take the lead. It's from 50. So, not a routine kick, but definitely a kick that I want to see an NFL kicker make. Obviously we'll see the kick go here. And again, we're going to pull that to his left. So that's what I'm talking about. That's his miss right there. And so, big one. They end up losing in third overtime there, 3 overtime rounds. So that's, a couple, when you only get a couple chances to make clutch field goals, they stick in your mind, right? So seeing him miss that one is a tough one. And then there's some regular misses too that we want to take an account here. I tried to collect, I think I have every single one. This one's an extra point. So last year, if I have a number, I think he missed 2 extra points last year. That hasn't been a consistent problem. But again, you're going to see him pull it left here. Just concerning to see him missing extra points and missing 2 last year. They both were missed like this too. So he's just going to pull that one off like crazy left. Then this is where we're going to look at the 2024 ones. Less of a, I want him to be able to make these kicks at the NFL level, but most of these are misses in the 50s. So you're going to see against Arizona State, he's going to miss a 55-yarder. This is the only one I saw him miss to his right. That one did go to his right. You get a 56-yarder here against Utah. This one he pulls to his left. Send that one through. There's that pull. And you can see it pull quickly, right? And that was a lot like that extra point miss. So that's where I think the team's really going to have to focus in on, what's causing him to pull these balls. 52-yarder against Colorado from this year. And there it's pulled left. They're taking almost the same flight pattern. So I'll be interested. I'm sure you guys know a lot more than me on these pieces. So drop a comment down below. Let me know if you guys are seeing something when he's kicking that ball. Go back, watch it through, and let me know what you guys think. But those are some of those misses. I tried to get the 50-yarders in there. The 48-yarder he missed in 2024 was the one I showed you guys where the clutch time miss. And then he did have one 27-yard miss against Northern Arizona. So those were his misses in 2024. So basically in the last 2 years, he's missed 10 field goals, 10 field goals in the last 2 years, missing 5 each year. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Definitely some inaccuracies he's going to have to fix, but I think you could see it very clearly on those makes. An NFL ready leg in terms of power. He is absolutely blasting that ball through the uprights. Seeing it land so high in the net is just like, wow, like it's really got yardage behind it. So that's what I'm most excited about. So drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button if you enjoyed my attempt at breaking down kicker film. And again, a big thank you to our friends at Jimmy's Seafood for sponsoring this series. It's been such a blast. Go over there, celebrate with me, get some Jimmy's chips, boardwalk flavor, crab dip flavor, Luke's blend. God, that sounds good. And as always, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.